Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of I Procrastinate Way Too Long, starring me. Um, so a while back, when quarantine started, I wanted to do a project where I turn Animal Crossing villagers into real people. I wasn't the only one who did the trend, but I probably took the longest. So I decided to choose my own villagers, just mine, and I was going to turn them into people. I wasn't sure at first how I was gonna do it. That's why this first one is Bam, the first one I did, and his isn't the prettiest of all of them. I think I just didn't know what I was doing when I got into it, and I didn't know the best method to go about it. So at first I was planning on just leaving the colors the exact same for all of the characters, like, keeping them blue and stuff, but no, I decided to change them to having skin tone, like actual people. Um, this first one is Bam. I actually looked up all their personalities on this website I can't remember the name of, and I found out that Bam is actually the jock archetype, or character type, which I already kind of knew. He's very like, let's work out on the island. But he's also supposed to be a soccer player, so I gave him a soccer-y pose. I think it looks cute. To reference his horns, I gave him these little like curls up on the top of his head to look a little bit like antlers. His ears are a little more pointy, like the ears of his deer character. I gave him the same shirt. I gave him little like shorts. Made them blue, and I made his socks blue. And I made him a redhead to kind of, he has orange ears, so it's a bit of a reference towards that. His eye color is the same. My goal was to keep things basically color-wise very close to the same. The brown shoes are supposed to kind of be a reference towards his brown hooves on his feet. And he has freckles, just like his Animal Crossing counterpart has freckles all over his, I guess, muzzle or something. What would that be called? I don't know. He pose wise, he had a really cute pose, but I think he had such a disservice because he was the first person I did. So I think that, I mean, I got over it, but I did like everything all on one layer, or like 2, 3 layers, and it really didn't help him. It made things a lot more difficult for me. But I think I like how I did his hair, how it looks a little bit like his antlers. And I just wanted to give him a very playful vibe, because that's how he is on the island. And here is Clyde, my lazy type villager. He is a horse or donkey, maybe? I'm not sure. With his hair, I tried to reference the hair of his villager. He has very, like he has the basic horse mane and then like a curl on his forehead, so I tried to kind of do that. His hair looks a little funky, but it's cute anyway. I gave him little socks to reference the gray and black and black hooves. I gave him brown hair just like his actual hair, and I kept his eyes closed. He never opens his eyes. I gave him kind of a rounder face to reference the horse-like qualities of him, and a big round nose. I made him a little chubby, because he's a little chubby, I guess you could say. I mean, he's the lazy type, so I tried to give him oversized clothing, a little bit more like pajamas, sort of. I, of course, kept the shirt the same. And also the reason he looks like he's got a cape and stuff is because his profession, supposedly, is he is a superhero, and it shows on the island because he runs around with his hands behind his back and, like, runs like he's Naruto running, I guess. But yeah, I wanted to give him a little, like, superhero, like, up and away pose, and then I gave him a cape, but again, he's lazy, so I wanted it to look a little bit like he just took a blanket and tied it around his, his neck. Big sweatpants, big oversized sweater. He was pretty basic. Nothing super exciting about his design. The colors I chose, again, were dropped right off of his own character. The pant color comes from the, horse's ears. The hair color comes from his hair. The yellow comes from the yellow cape comes from the actual color of the horse. The shock color comes from the hoof color. and so on, you know? I really wanted to keep the colors the same. I can't stress that enough. I think I could have changed, if I'd changed the colors around, it wouldn't look as much like the character, even though a lot of the colors I didn't like. But he's one of my favorite villagers, I guess. I'll say that a million times, I'm sure. I love all my villagers, but he was a fun one to draw because he's just so he's so cuddly. Although I have such a hard time drawing guys, so I don't know. Then this one, her name is Diana. She is, of all my favorites, she is my favorite. I love her so much. She's the greatest ever. She is a dermatologist, and she is the snooty type. So I gave her socks and shoes are supposed to reference her hoof color. They're pink, and then she has like this mint color coming up. Same thing with the sleeves on her lab coat, which I gave her a lab coat because she's a dermatologist. And I also gave her that magnifying glass because when she's walking around the island, she always has a magnifying glass. She's like looking at flowers, probably because of the dermatologist thing. I don't know. But the coat sleeves are supposed to reference her hoof colors. She's got lighter skin tone because her skin, the actual animal skin, is white. So she had to be white. I gave her this big poofy hair because she has this big curl on her head in the game, so I needed to reference that in the hair, of course. The big eyelashes are just like the animals. The purple eyes come from the purple of the hair, and this mint color is also going to be seen a lot in it. She had such a beautiful, like, color palette. That's probably one of the reasons why I love drawing her. She was one of my favorites. I tried to make her pose very snooty, like she's looking down on you almost, snickering at you. I don't know. Here's that mint color I was talking about. I wish I'd used more of it. I think it was a very pretty mint color. The dress was annoying to do, but the shading on it is the worst. The shading was terrible. I know that, I guess, technically a doctor wouldn't wear something like this to work, but, you know, she's just, this is her every day, so to say. I'm not sure what else I can say about her other than I think I had so much fun with her. She doesn't exactly have the best pose. I think I still need to work on, maybe that'll be a goal of mine, I need to work on my posing, because her pose doesn't have a great pose line. But, and if you don't know what that is, I'm not going to explain that, but the way that a character flows, basically. But it does have a semi-pose line. Not a great one, but it's there. I really wanted her to look like she was almost looking down on you. I tried to give her, like, neck a tilt. I don't know if it reads. But yeah, she's a cute one. She lives right next to me. When I'm in my Animal Crossing world, I put her next to me. Oh, and of course I had to keep the big cheek blushes. Big ol' circles on her cheek for no reason. Here's the shading. Oh, that was annoying. That was a really annoying thing to do. But that's basically it for her. You know, as for what I did. There's not really much else to it. Okay, and then here is Jambet, one of my least favorite designs. I think it's better than her real design. Her real design is not beautiful, but hey, what can you say? She's beautiful on the inside. She's one of my nicer Animal Crossing villagers, but she's not the nicest looking. She has big lips. The reason I gave her big not pigtails, but big buns is to reference the frog eyes of the original character. I gave her the big blue eyeshadow and like the half-lidded look. I changed her skin color because I just hated it. Looked like dog poop or like runny doo-doo. Is that okay to say? I don't know. I did not like the way the skin color I chose. It just looked yucky. I think I made it look a little bit more caramelly in the finished product. Of course, I had to make her have green shoes, green hair. I gave her a lot of green. She is a frog. I kept the same shirt design, which was annoying to draw, especially because I had to kind of guess with some of it, but it turned out kind of cute. I had a very 1950s style with her. I feel like when I was designing her, I just got this idea of like a motherly calm figure, and it gave me a 1950s. I don't know. When I was looking for references, that's what I went with. I don't know why. My brain works weird. But I gave her this big, long A-line dress a little bit. And of course the top of it is the same as the actual picture's shirt. And other than that, I wish I had done bigger blushes on her cheeks. I feel like I'm going to say that a lot. I wish I'd given her bigger lips, and I wish I'd given her bigger blushes on her cheeks, because that's like her character. She has all these big circles on her, and I didn't know how to show that. This character is Hans. He is no longer on my island. A lot of them aren't, because this video took me so long to make. I messed up because I, as you can see, forgot that I was putting the skin colors as actual skin tones. Now, at first, I made him very dark-skinned, and I didn't really think, because I wasn't really thinking about the color choices. I just kind of went with whatever I went with. I realized really quickly when I was coloring that could be seen as racially insensitive, so I changed it. I don't know if anyone would get offended, but in case anyone did, I changed it. I didn't mean for it to come off as any sort of offensive way, so I'm sorry if it did seem that way. Sorry. I gave him white hair to mimic the white fur, I guess, of his in-game counterpart. I gave him big ears, just like his character. Here's the skin tone. I'm gonna change it in a second, I'm sure. In the recording, you'll see me go back over it with like a lighter skin tone. Yep. I gave him big eyebrows to kind of reference the like low brow look of his character. I gave him blue shoes to reference the blue paws he has, and I gave him a bit of a gradient on his pants to reference the semi-gradient of his fur. Of course, I had to keep the vest that he wears. Also, he was a painter. That is supposedly his job. I haven't seen really a lot of evidence of that on my island, just like a lot of the others, but I gave him a little apron, a little painter apron, and I gave him a little paintbrush so that he continues his career, I guess. With Jambette, she's supposed to be an artist, but I didn't really give her anything that referenced that on her character. It was just, you know, her. But yeah, he's the smug character type, so I tried to make him look a little bit like he's snickering and like pointing at you like, ha, I'm better than you. I don't know, something like that. I think it comes across. I think he looks very smug. Other than that, I didn't know a lot. He was a hard one for me to do. He was such a big double whammy because he's not really, doesn't seem like a painter on my island. He is a man, so I don't do as well with drawing guys, in my opinion. And also, he's a gorilla, and he has this very big upper half of his body, and it was weird. I wanted to give him a big chest, but I was just not, I wasn't good enough, everyone. So this is Marshall. He was one of my more favorited designs. He's a designer, and he is, again, the smug type. I should have made him shorter because he is a squirrel, but I just, my art juices were flowing. I made him tall. But I gave him a big bun on the back of his head that references his big curly tail. I, of course, had to give him little cheek blushes, although they're much smaller than his actual characters. His eyes are very similar. I kept the little, like, cat-looking mouth, and I tried to reference the, like, bangs he has with his hair design. I tried to give him a little sassy look. He has, like, these skinny jeans. He's a designer, and as I was drawing, I was just like, bro, he looks so gay, but that's just what ended up happening. I think he and Rocco, another one of our characters, is gay. It didn't mean to happen, but they are. It's canon now. There were two different conflicting images I found online. One of them had him in, like, a jean jacket, and another one had him in this puffy coat. I chose the puffy coat because that is what I remember him coming to my island in, but I don't know, maybe I could have done either one. I preferred the puffy coat, though. There wasn't a lot to do with him. I was a little confused on how to input everything, but I think I did a really good job. I liked the sassiness of his look. I ended up changing some of the colors. I gave him, I forgot that he had these purple ears, which kind of came out of nowhere in his design. He has these big purple ears, so last minute I gave him like a purple earring and some purple soles, but I changed that later. I did not like the purple soles. Um, and then yeah, I just changed it there. I think his one of my more favorited designs. His shading and highlighting are a little different than some of the other ones because he was done later in the process, so I had a bit of a different idea of how I was going to go about it. Like I actually did a little bit more detail on the shading and highlighting, whereas with some of the other ones I just used like the airbrush tool. The reason being is I took a big break and then I came back to it and I was like, oh, maybe I should actually try. But he was just such a fun one to do. Oh, I also gave him small ears because of his little squirrel ears. Sorry for that pause of silence. I wanted you to hear that smooth music in the background. uh, yeah, the shading on the bun was kind of weird, and the highlighting too, because the colors on him are so light already. Maybe that's why I liked him. I like light-colored characters. Wait, that might come off wrong. No, I just like pastels, I think is what it comes down to. And he has like this pastel yellow, which yellow is my favorite color, and pastel yellow. So he was fun. Okay, so here is Tabby, another lovely character in our Animal Crossing world. She's actually left, but, you know, she's an adorable little cat. I gave her these, like, pyramid buns. I don't even know what you would call that. But I gave her them to kind of reference her cat ears. And also, it said that she is a tennis player online, but when she was on my island, she acted a lot more like she was like a singer or like an actress or something. Like she was always saying how she wanted to get famous. So I kind of tried to incorporate both of them by making the tennis racket kind of like her instrument. But yeah, I had to give her the big bold makeup, of course, and I gave her somewhat of go-go boots. They're white to reference the white paws she has. And I gave her orange and brown hair to reference she has like a brown and orange pattern on her head. So I tried to kind of show that. I made the tennis racket too small. I mean, smaller than a normal tennis racket would be, but to be fair, I just needed it to look like a microphone, and it wasn't going to look like a microphone if I didn't make it small. It was going to be huge and in her face, and I didn't want that, so it's smaller. This is my world. It can be small if I want it to be. But here's her red hair. I think the red hair looks so cute on her, and I really like the way her face turned out. Even though she's, I guess she's like one of the uglier villagers, I love her. She looks so adorable, and she's so fun, too. She's such an energetic character. She's the peppy character. She's one of the peppy characters, and she shows it. She was so excited when she was on my island all the time, every day. I also had to give her the big pink cheek blushes, of course. I really tried to keep everything the same. I gave her a little tennis skirt, and like it gives her a little sass, I think. And of course, had to keep the black shirt the same. Although I never saw her wear that shirt when she was on my island, so I don't know. Maybe she doesn't spawn with that normally. Maybe that's just from the card. And then this was the highlighting and shading. I had a really fun time doing the highlighting and shading on her hair because I was testing out a new technique for highlighting and shading on her hair, and I think it turned out really cute. And then I think the eyeshadow looked adorable, the highlighting that I added to it. I also gave her a darker skin tone because a lot of the skin tones, when I did them, I just took the color of their skin or something close to skin color on their skin, and then I just altered it to look a little bit more human. So it ended up being a little bit darker based off of the orange of her fur. But I don't know, with all of their skin tones, I don't think any of them look wrong in any way. Maybe it's because I've been looking at them so long, but I can't say I regret much of anything with her. Other than, okay, her right leg is a little wonky looking when she's... But I feel like it just helps with her pose flow. I don't know. I'm overly picky with my own art. And here's Rocco, the other, in my eyes, canon gay character of my island. He has big old buck teeth, so I gave him his big old buck teeth. And then I gave him an upturned nose because of the weird, like, pyramid-like nostrils he has. I gave him these, shorts that match the, traffic cone design of his shirt. I don't know. He's the cranky type villager, so I had to give him a very serious looking face. Now, the reason I consider him gay is mostly probably because of the stereotype, which I'm not really fond of that fact, but basically when he's a cranky type villager, so when he came onto my island, he was very grumpy, and everything we gave him, he was like, I don't care, like, whatever, this is stupid. And then one day we just randomly, me and my mom, we both play, we gave him a fancy shirt, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he just, like, livened up. He was so happy to have received a shirt. And I gave him, like, a rose, and he put it up on display in his house, and he was so sweet after we started giving him clothes and, like, fashion pieces. And so my mom and I were just like, oh my gosh, he's gay. He, like, that's what made him happy, is the fashion. He needed that fashion. So, you know, it's probably because of the stereotype, but we just thought it was funny. And then we gave him these, like, green with, brown highlights on the gloves because they kind of reference his paws, or not paws, but, like, I guess hooves. Also, the reason that he is in a boxing pose and he has these boxing gloves and stuff is because when I looked it up, apparently he is supposed to be a boxer, so that is why we gave I gave him the boxing pose, which I had found on Pinterest. I don't know how to draw boxers. I know nothing about that. I also gave him, I don't know if I said this already, the shorts are because of the shirt. It's, you know, boxers don't typically wear shirts, maybe? I don't know much about boxing. I just went with the shorts. And then I gave him the bow tie to kind of compliment the fact that not compliment, but, like, a nod towards the fact that he loves fashion on my island, and the earring because he has red ears. His character does. He has an overbite because his animal character kind of has, like, a huge upper half and then like upper nose, and then has a, like, small bottom half. So yeah. And then here is Leopold. He was, at least pose-wise, he was super cute. He is one of 2 lions that we had on our island. Now, both of the lions actually were the smug type and professors. So, when it came to designing Leopold, I took a little bit different of a approach with him. Instead of having him be more, like, smug, like, giving him a more smug pose like he is, you know, his personality, I felt like in the island he's a little bit more nice than his his other lion counterpart. So I gave him a bit more of a shy look to him. And also, his original shirt has more of a design on it. For me, I just gave him a purple vest because I was so tired of dealing with the freaking designs. Again, all the colors are the same from the animal. I gave him big poofy green hair to kind of, you know, reference his big mane. I gave him the big gray glasses, circular glasses like his character did, and a big long nose as well. I kept his eyes closed because his original animal counterpart has his eyes closed. I also gave him a book to reference the fact that he's a professor. I gave him gray pants because I took the gray off of the original vest piece. I gave him brown shoes to reference the brown of his paws. And I gave him his natural, like, animal skin tone is similar to his skin tone, so I kind of just stuck with it. Other than that, there was not a whole lot more. I gave him smaller ears because he has, like, small lion ears in the animal version of him. I just tried to make him look a little bit like he was maybe a little embarrassed, a little worrisome, so to say. Like he's just like he's just doing a little giggle. Because you'll see I did him and the other lion on the same document because I considered them to be like brothers. So, his brother's up in the limelight trying to get the attention. He's just in the background kind of laughing along with it. You just saw a flash of him there. Yeah, I've probably said this a million times, but I really like how these guys turned out. I think that I just feel like the poses have so much personality to them, and I love the contrast between Leopold, who is a little bit more shy in the background, and Lionel, who's our other lion, who I'm getting to now, all bold in the front line. So here's Lionel. He's more of an older gentleman. Gentleman. He has like wispy gray hair, big like the mane of the animal, and he has a big handlebar mustache, although certainly I probably should have made it bigger. I gave him a little bit of a beard because his character does have a beard, and I kept I actually chose the color for his shirt based off of the color in his ears, although I hated the color. It is disgusting, but I kept it because it's from the animal itself. I personally don't like bold colors like that. Again, like I said with Marshall, I like pastels and more calm colors. Maybe that's why I like his pants so much, because I chose the beige of his cheeks for his pants, so it is a lot more relaxing for me to look at than the bold color of his shirt. Then I gave him a cane to reference his tail a little bit. I'm not sure if that shows through with the color palette, but just a little. Here I am coloring the hair. Again, I'm making it white because his mane was white. I gave him blue eyes because he has blue eyes. And again, just like his brother, his skin color, or his animal's fur color, is basically a skin color already. So I didn't need to do much altering with him. And I also kept the same design as his animal self. For the shirt, I made it more like a sweater vest. I just wanted him to look like a suave, like gentleman type character, where he's just coming in trying to charm you with his, I'd say mature personality, because I definitely think he's like the older brother, maybe by a couple years, but still keeps his youth to him, so to say. I kept his eyebrows very small, much like I tried to keep them similar to the animal's eyebrows. And other than that, there's really not much I can say. Just like, there's a couple of them, his shading and highlighting is a little different, just like Leopold's is, because both of them I did their highlighting towards the highlighting and shading towards the end of this project. So it was a little bit nicer. I took a little more time on it. I was trying a little harder, I guess. And I think it looks nicer because of that. I still absolutely hate the shirt color. I hate that yellow. It's such a puke yellow. But what can I say? I shouldn't complain. That's the colors that were on the actual animal. Honestly, that's one thing I'm noticing about the animals' character designs. A lot of them aren't as cohesive as I think that they could have been if they had used green in the ears to kind of bring back to the shirt, or the same yellow that was on the buttons. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about character design, but that's one thing. You want to keep colors consistently throughout a character, and so the fact that he only has white on his face and nowhere else, or he only has the beige on his face and nowhere else, or he only has that limey puke piss yellow in his ears and nowhere else, it's not cohesive. But this is just based off of the image I found online, so take what I say with a grain of salt. As a final thought for this project, I think I don't want to do such an big project again. When I did the Marvel Hero redesigns, I didn't do highlighting and shading on them. I didn't do a background for them. I just did the redesigns, did the character design, and rethought the powers, and that was really it. I had Mike go into Photoshop and basically Photoshop the shadowing on there. But But these guys, I actually took the time to shade and highlight, and oh boy, did that make it so much more exhausting for me, because I'm not a fan of doing shading and highlighting personally. It gets very boring very quickly and repetitive, and I just want to give a big thank you to everybody for watching. I know this has been a very long video, so if you made it this far, please subscribe and comment what your favorite character was. It would mean so, so, so much to me. And goodbye! Mwah!